Yeah, well, we've heard the question several times now. Let's hear the answer.
Can I finish? Thank you. And I will do. So, we get all the revenue from a new stadium, and people are starting to buy into that. Have you had a drink? Can you let me finish? Maybe that's 1 pint too many. Let me finish. So, the issue... The issue that I found is a 3-year build period where people have said, we get the fact that we'd have a stadium in the Coventry area where we own all the revenues. We get that. But Tim, the problem I'm having is the idea of a ground share. It goes against the grain. It goes against everything that I believe in. So the challenge I've got is to build something up which actually you believe in. At the moment, we're very frustrated. Why? Because the Football League won't allow us to announce all the packages that were developed which have created goodwill to get you to travel for the 3-year interim period.
Okay, the question though was beyond that. Where's the money coming from to fund the new stadium? Let's get the answer
So
to that.
the answer to that is it's a mixture of equity and debt. The equity comes from the scheme that surrounds the stadium itself.
In other words, developing the land around it.
Absolutely. So the stadium...
Who sees that as a good business?
Listen to the answer, and we might get there.
So what happens is, when you start off with something, let's say for example you have a plot of land. So you create a scheme which creates value. Immediately you create value. You create value through having a stable football club, so in fact it's cash flow break even. But the value actually comes from the scheme that is around the stadium itself. And in effect, that diversifies all the business risk, and that's what this is what it's all about.
Okay, let's go over here. There are other examples of that. Stephen keeps quoting Brentford, and I know people say it's nothing to do with Brentford. I'll give you another example. Okay, a successful club I'll accept. But Northampton Saints Rugby Club have exactly this problem. Not exactly this problem. They're very successful and they want to grow their capacity. They don't have the funds to do it themselves. What they're doing is selling part of their land to Asda. Asda provide the funds for them to build up. That's the sort of thing you're talking about, I presume.
That's exactly right.
Right, okay. So just as Tesco were involved in the RICO in the first place.
Hello, my name's Marcus. With limited funds, you obviously rely on a lot of the young lads in the academy. This is close to my heart, as my son plays there. You're on about a Cat 2 level. For a Cat 2 level, I know for a fact, you need an indoor arena, you need a medical room, you need classrooms, you need decent pitches, and it all must be passed by the FA. That audit is coming up, I believe, in the 20th of June.
We've had the audit, we passed it.
They passed it, but we haven't got an indoor arena, have you?
We have a solution, which you're absolutely right, you need an indoor bubble, and we've got a meeting with, it's not the FA, it's the English Premier League on the 20th of June.
But by the 20th of June, you must need an indoor arena, so you must know now.
No, by the 20th of June, you've got to deliver the plan on how you get to an indoor arena. And we're working closely with Warwick University, because I've got to tell you, the facilities at Cryfield are knockout compared to those at the Alan Hicks Centre. So that's a fact.
So is that where we're going?
We'd love to be able to go to Cryfield, absolutely right. And in terms of the classrooms, we've got the capacity to obviously be able to provide the educational support for the boys.
Also as well, I think I feel for the rest of them around here, I can't believe that you are putting money in left, right and centre on about building a ground which is going to cost you vast amount of money when you might not have any people to go to that ground. And I can only see some dodgy going on here, to be fair, because you wouldn't plough that much money into a business, keep on failing, keep on failing, keep on failing, and still put money into it. I just think it's a no-go for yourself.
Okay, I appreciate that point. Can I just say something? Did anybody hear the radio the other night and there was a lad came on and said, my name is Paul Barnes. My name is Paul Barnes and I'm currently employed by the academy. Coach, did anyone remember that? No, it was very... it was very interesting. He stood up and he told us, and again, I'm happy to be corrected, but I listened to it and I read the transcript, so I was really surprised that I'm currently employed by the academy and this, that and the other. He hadn't been employed for 12 months. He'd left 12 months ago. So you've got to understand we're a little bit sceptical from time to time with some of the questions. So if I'm a little bit testy, then I apologise. But we've had plants, we've had lawyers in here who've been working for the council. We found it very, very difficult.
Okay, question here. Tell us who you are, please.
Moss Baker, Coventry Trust. Tim, you told us on Friday, I think it was, that you'd actually put a bid in for the club. And can you explain to us why you put a bid in for a property subsidiary with no material assets, where there are no employees, you tell us, either on the field or off the field, where you tell us categorically the golden share doesn't reside, and also, can you tell us which of the CSU entities have actually put the bid in, and if it's not one of the existing companies, is it a new company? Thank you.
Well, under the Football League rules, you have to not just enter administration, you've got to exit, so you've got no option really. And of course, you've got to make sure that you get the best for the creditors, and that's what Mr. Appleton is doing. In terms of which entity is bidding, then all I can say at the moment is one of the entities, which is within, comes under CSU Capital Management Limited, is in fact bidding. And the terms of those bidding, the commercial terms, are obviously commercially confident.
So it's not a new company then, it's an existing CSU company?
It would be an existing CSU company, exactly.
So what happens, Tim, if you don't win the bid and Haskell wins, like everyone else wants to?
The question, if you didn't hear it at the back, what happens if CSU don't win and somebody else does? Preston Haskell, for example.
Then Mr. Haskell, or whichever bidder it was, would have every right to go to the Football League at that point and say, will you allocate the golden share to my new company, Football Club Limited?
And if the Football League do that, what happens then?
Well, then we'd have a very interesting scenario, because we would have one business, Holdings, which has all the assets and all the title to the assets, and then you would have one company that in effect has just the golden share.
Let me just put this to you. Some information I've heard this evening as I was coming to the room. Despite reports to the contrary, Michael Bing's consortium have made a bid, apparently. He told me that, and I've spoken to him, he's in Abu Dhabi this evening, I spoke to him on the phone just before I came in. He said that his investors, who we understand to be Far East, Chinese, whoever, nearly pulled out last week, not for the first time, because they just perceived this whole thing to be such a mess. They really don't want to be involved in it. He's persuaded them, because he's a fan, to stay on board for the time being, and they have put a bid into Paul Appleton. I've also heard from a completely different source, there's another bid, and this we don't know is absolutely fact, but I'm sure Jeff Foster and the team at BBC Coventry and Warwickshire will check this out tomorrow morning. Working, Jeff? Not trying to drop you in it, Jeff, at all. I've also heard that, and this is the thing that I say, and let me repeat, it's not confirmed, that ACL have made a bid to buy the football club. So we could have bids. We know we've got a bid from Preston Haskell. We know now we have a bid from Michael Bing, he's told me so. We understand there could be a bid from ACL, and there is a bid from a CSU entity. If any of those other three were to be successful, would you be prepared to negotiate with any of them to see whether you could form something between you?
That's a very hypothetical question, completely hypothetical. And of course, at that stage, if you think about the creditor position, then the creditor, both a secured and unsecured creditor in CSU, would have been paid handsomely. So my question is, and again, it is only a quick. I don't know. Mr. Appleton, of course, wouldn't share anything with us. We just talk about.
And Mr. Appleton has shared nothing with me. The information has not come from him.
So if he will run it. So the process is as follows. And maybe people don't know what the process is, but the process is as follows. So you put your indicative bids in. You then, over the next few days, prove funds. So rather than somebody putting in saying, I'll buy something for, make a number up, 100 million or 50 million, you actually have to show you've got the money. And it's that point that most bids fall away, because usually proving funds is a difficult bit. So I imagine, and we received a letter today, that in around about a week's time, the bid process will have come to a close, and Mr. Appleton will make his recommendation based on the bids, not just the quantum, but the ability to perform on that. I.e., can you deliver what you say you're going to deliver?
In other words, somebody could put in the highest bid, they may not win. If they can't demonstrate to him, they can back that up with the funds.
Correct.
Right, okay. Let's go to a young man here, then we'll come back to the front. Okay. Tell us who you are.
Hello, I'm Joshua Hopkins. I would like to turn around and say, if you can afford to buy a new stadium, why aren't you affording the rest of the shares of the Rico?
Joshua, that's a great question. And the challenge we've got is that it's not out for sale for us. So we tried, we really did try, and we were told under no
You're not
circumstances.
trying hard enough.
Well, Joshua, you may have a point. We kept trying and trying, but there is a point where you think you're just flogging a dead horse. And we were told categorically, and got lots of letters sent to say, we will never sell to you.
Why don't you publish the letters then, so we all know?
Can we see the letters?
Well, that's a very good point, but the answer to that is no, not at the moment.
Okay, let's come down here. Gentleman over here has stand up for a long time. Tell us who you are.
Evening, my name's Jason. Been a season to goal for 26 years. My dad's next to me here, been going for 50 years. We've also had away season tickets for 13 years. We've missed 5 matches in 20 plus years. We won't be going to any games if it's not at the Rico. I think when you've got supporters like us, you're in a lot more trouble than you think. My main question is for Steve actually, but there was a question on Friday that was asked that I don't think you answered, which was regarding the principal activity in the accounts that was submitted to May 2011, which showed that the CCSC Limited was involved in the running of the club, whereas the holding company was listed as a holding company whose subsidiary. That's not my main question, by the way, but that was a question that you didn't answer on Friday.
You are correct.
That director's report was signed by Tim.
Yeah.
Well, you must have known which company was the holding company, which company was the running of the football club. I've got my own business. I know what I'm signing when I sign my director's report. But that wasn't my main question. My main question was, do you mind me asking how long you've been the accountant?
Yeah, I started in March 2012, the end of March.
Okay.
Yeah.
You answered a question on Friday regarding the turnover in Limited. And basically you said all along that